Yeah, ready when you are.
Fab. Lovely. Okie dokie. Again, welcome, Hannah. Would you like to start off sort of introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about your business and what it is that you're currently up to?
Yeah, so my name's Hannah Zora Strong. I run my own PPC agency under Zora Marketing. So we manage Google Ads and LinkedIn advertising. It's usually for brands with local customers. So I'm trying to niche down. So I'll talk more about niching down later. But I've been working in PPC for the last 10 years. Biggest account I've ever worked on is probably the Clarks UK and EU account at my last agency. We won the tender for that, and then we're working with them for 2 or 3 years. And that was on everything from driving footfall and online sales as well. So it was a multi-million-pound project. But then I also worked with yeah, um, kind of smaller retailers, high street retailers, people who don't even have a physical store. So yeah, it's and service providers as well. So everyone in between really. But yeah, me.
Amazing. So I'm going to expand on that a little bit. So do you want to take us right back to kind of the start of your digital marketing career, how you got into it, the kind of roles that you've been in and how what kind of led you towards PPC?
Yeah. So I started like from uni. I graduated and had like a marketing manager job for a really small design agency. I was the only person in sales and marketing, and I started writing blog posts to drive people to the website and found that my blog posts were leading to inquiries. So I thought, okay, great, looking into this SEO copywriting business a little bit more. And then left that company to join a marketing agency who specialized in SEO, PPC, content outreach, CRO, UX, web dev. And they were quite a big agency, so it meant I could join as a copywriter and learn from other copywriters. And as fun as copywriting was, I did English literature A level, so it kind of I thought it fit my skill set. But I didn't like the fact that I felt like a production line. Like you do a piece of content, it goes out the door. You do another piece of content, it goes out the door. And it felt very like samey. You don't really know if your content's done a good job or a bad job, if the client liked it or they didn't, if it improved rankings or it didn't, or it improved conversions or it didn't. And I didn't like the fact that I couldn't see that. So then when the PPC team came over to the content team and said, can you help us write some ads? That was like the bridge. So they came in and said, look, we're bidding on these queries. We need your help writing some fantastic ad copy to drive them to the landing page and hopefully convert. And that was my sort of gateway into PPC because I could see obviously the ad copy was a lot quicker to write than the long form content. And I got to see the click through rate. I got to do some ABC testing. Back in the olden days when I was first in PPC, you only had kind of three headlines and one description's worth of space. There wasn't any expanded text ads, there wasn't any responsive search ads. Everything was like if you wanted to do an ABC test, you could. There was no option to kind of upload loads of headlines and descriptions and let them show on variations like it is today. It was very much Billy Basic, and that was good because I could see which ads would do well, which they weren't, and that um brought the numbers into it. And then from there, I just kind of got more involved with, oh, I could try these keywords and try this landing page. And it sort of like spiraled into that. And then, so I went from PPC exec, the senior to head in that company, left there to go to another agency to kind of, yeah, they had a couple of PPC people, but it wasn't really considered a proper service. So I went into kind of both the new business and make it like a proper service within the agency as opposed to just like an add-on. And then I took some time out to have my kids. And then when my second child was born, I decided to set up my own freelance business. So I started work when he was 6 months old, and my husband took 3 months off to look after him while I kind of grew the business. I've been here ever since, really. So it was 2 years ago. Started January 2022. Um, and yeah, just been working for myself, happily back into the day-to-day optimization, because I think when you become a manager and a senior and a head of, you're not like doing the do anymore. You don't speak to clients anymore. You're not like making campaign changes anymore, and you're more like admin, and it's like running a mini business when I've got a team of 10. And as fun as it was to be a people manager, I much just preferred doing the ads. I just wanted to get back to doing the ads because with 2 small children, I didn't really feel like I needed to manage a team as well as my children. So I just wanted to go back to what I knew, what I loved, what I was good at, which was PPC management. So I've just been doing that for 2 years, and it's just me. So I've got people that kind of I outsource to like smaller tasks and things, but in the main it is just me. I like to keep it that way for now. I mean, put me in 5 years and I might have a team of 6 under me, but for now it's just me.
What story? That's brilliant. It's really nice to hear of how you've kind of you've gone through different ranks within agencies, and you've had that experience working with a team, and how that it's kind of come about because you've seen a gap essentially in that space, and you've explored it and been able, and it's great that the agencies have been able to accommodate for that and giving you those platforms, and obviously you've had promotions within that, and people have recognized that hard work and natural talent that you've got, and then to go through you having children and that then switching your focus and actually kind of going back to what you loved and developing your own business off the back of that. That's super impressive. And it shows that, so we'll have a lot of people on here that are parents that probably going through a bit of a career change, or a bit like, oh, I'm not too sure what to do now that I've got young children, and just goes to show that you absolutely can stay in that area that you love doing, and you can make it into something great. So I'd love to open up the floor for some questions. If anyone would like to put their hand up to ask Hannah any questions that they might have. I can't see if it, am I missing any hands, Joe?
Not at the moment, no.
That is absolutely
I
fine.
can talk a little bit more about if there's lots of parents in, I can talk a bit more about the juggle and how it kind of having PPC sort of helped me steady my mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, go for it.
So
Yeah.
like I think one of the things I struggled with is I went from a job that I loved, that I was good at, that I was paid for, to looking after a newborn, which I was not very good at, not paid for. And you don't enjoy it all the time. It's good sometimes, obviously, but not all the time. So was that juxtaposition kind of really threw me, and I found it harder after having my daughter, who I had first, to kind of get back into the rhythm of things. But when I had my son, I kept up with freelancing a couple of clients. Like I had 12 clients, 10 of them I gave away to other freelancers and said, like, look, can you steady the ship while I obviously like raise my son. A couple who didn't need calls, didn't need monthly reports, didn't need like intensive sessions that I could just kind of tinker on with when I had a spare hour or two. It was quite a low maintenance job, and I could just like open my laptop, do what I'm good at, and then get that confidence boost that like I am earning money still, and I am getting that reassurance that I've made that change and it's had that positive impact. And then I'll go back to being a mum, and it like kept my confidence up, kept my head screwed on actually for the second maternity leave versus the first. And I know, not everyone has the family support or the structure, or where that I'm in a fortunate position that I was able to manage both, and there's not a lot of kind of side gigs that you can manage both, but it really helped me mentally stay sane, to just have that familiarity of Google Ads. It sounds really really weird, but yeah.
No, it makes
helps.
sense. It makes complete sense, and I've seen it in Basecamp where there's been quite a few people that have gone through that kind of change, whether it's parenting or something that happens in life that kind of disrupts everything. And this is the great thing about marketing, is that you can, if you're genuinely passionate about it, and you can kind of mold it into how you need it to be for it to work for you. And like you say, it's been, you know, such a vital part for your mental health as well. So no, it's you know, it's a great story. We do actually have some hands up now. So I believe Joanne, you were first, so go for it.
Well, my question was going to sort of almost answered, but I was going to say, what is your typical day like? But maybe I'll change it to, what typically would you freelance out? Would you freelance out individual clients, campaigns, sections of a campaign? What would if you know you need to offload something, what kind of thing might that be?
So the early stages of most campaigns start with search campaigns. Obviously, e-commerce clients get shopping ads, which is a little bit different because your search query is matched to the product title and product description, so it's harder to optimize for that. But in the main, everything starts with keywords. And if when I speak to a client, they say, right, this is the service that I want to sell, or this is the product I want to sell to either the UK or a specific region, I will then go out and do some keyword research to understand how many people in the UK or in that region are searching for their product or their service, what the average cost per clicks are, how competitive it is. And then from that, I will do some projections to the client to say, look, if you want to target this product in this region, the recommended budget is about £2,000. If you don't have that, we can drop it down. If you do, then we can crack on. Because that keyword research process is quite labor intensive, it's the bit that I outsource, so that someone else will use Google Keyword Planner to pull the data, do the projections, send them to me. I'll then check the keywords over and then propose it to the client and say, look, these are your options. And then if they sign off on it, then it goes back to kind of to outsourced again to do the ad copy. So the client will usually have a landing page that's fit for purpose for the product or service they're selling. I'll say to the person, here's the landing page, here's the keywords, draft some ad copy across the 15 headlines and 4 descriptions that talks about the brand's USP, that talks about the features and the benefits of the product and the service, that talks about the call to actions, that talks about any offers and promotions. So I'll then push that to them and then I'll review it and then the client sees it. So the client isn't aware that there is a third party supporting me, but it just means that the quite manual tasks can be sped up from my perspective. So that's what, in terms of like, you know, fundamentals that every client gets, it's what's outsourced. And then I've also been trying to do more kind of value add bits. So clients pay me for optimization, management, and reporting. They might not pay me for extra competitor research. They might not pay me for kind of Google Search Console and other tools that aren't necessarily for PPC, but they're like in the marketing ecosystem, or like Google Trends or Market Insights or other things that aren't necessarily within PPC management. I will then outsource to whoever it is as well, because it's that value add that's going to keep a client sticky to me. So even though they're getting the basic, you know, they're paying however much a month for me to manage their account, but because they're also getting extra bits of bonus analysis and research and insights and reports, then they're more likely to stick around for as long as possible. So yeah, there's really 2 camps. There's like the essentials, the keyword research and the ad copy, then there's like the nice to haves, which are outsourced as well.
Thanks, that was really comprehensive. Brilliant, thanks.
Haniel, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, so I was gonna steal Joanne's question that she was gonna ask. I wanted to find out a bit more about your typical day, because I know for me, because I've got kids and I find I'm doing sometimes crazy hours and like just silly crazy hours, and I'm getting too old to do that kind of thing anymore. But part of the reason I'm doing digital marketing is to try and make things more efficient. So I just wanted to find out a bit more about your typical day and like break your work day up.
Yeah, so because of like around school runs and things, and my kids are out of school club, I generally work 9:30 till 5. I only work 3 days a week. So I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Because I don't think clients particularly, no one's in on a Friday, are they? And everyone's kind of catching up on a Monday. So those for me seem like the core part of the week. I usually have one or two client calls a day. Trying not to have too many back to back, but the majority of time I try and look for clients that don't necessarily need weekly calls. Yes, the ones with bigger budgets and bigger marketing teams do need that more drop in. But for the ones that have lower budgets, where they don't ask as many questions, because it's quite like my regular clients that might have been with me for 6 months or more, the trust's already there. They don't need to know the minutiae of what I'm doing and when and what the impact's made. They're just happy for me to crack on and do it because I've got a budget and I've got a target and they can just let me crack on. So I prefer to work like that, because then there's no set, you must be checking in, no one's looking over my shoulder, there's no micromanagement. It also means if I want, I try and keep my hours to 8 hours a day on the Tuesday, Thursday, but if I need to work on an evening or a weekend, then that's up to me. If I need to catch up, that's up to me. Well, I can, meet a friend for lunch or go to the gym in the morning, and no one's like on me to be productive during those times. As long as I do my hours, to me, it doesn't really matter when I do them. I just have like a note in my email signature to say these are my core working days. I have my out of office on a Monday and Friday, just to be like, I will respond to you when I can. When everyone starts to work with me, they know that those are my core hours. And the thing is with PPC, it's little and often. So we're not expecting to spend like 4 hours a day on an account every week. You might do at the start, but then after that, it's about like daily check-ins, or a couple of times a week, you might have half an hour per client. And I'll try and structure my week like that. So it's more, more kind of tasks and then updates the clients as I need them. But there's no, like I don't really work on site with any clients. I've got clients around the UK. I think since COVID, everyone's kind of relaxed. And I think that especially if being introduced through word of mouth, there's a trust there. So again, you don't need to be in the premises for them to trust that you're working on the account. As long as the results are good, they'll just get left alone. So that's the benefit, I guess.
Thank you. That's really interesting.
Dawn, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I think you partially answered it, because I was going to say, how do you market yourself basically? Is it word of mouth, referral, networking? Where does the core of your business come from?
So because I worked in the new business side of the agencies for kind of 6 years before I went on maternity leave and had my kids and went freelance, I'd already built up quite a rich network of colleagues who have since risen up the ranks and probably started their own agencies. There's quite a lot of people like that. And also business like brand connections, so like not necessarily clients, but people who are I say in the agencies but who work in-house with teams, and people are always moving. So if you do a good job with one client and they move to another brand, then more often than not, once they've got their feet under the table, you're invited back. Another route that I'd recommend is networking. So kind of the same vein, but so I'm part of a Facebook group called the Mums in Marketing, which is who I'm going down to the conference with. So there's a free Facebook group, and then there's a paid for membership, but there's about 6,000 people even in the free Facebook group, and everyone kind of goes, oh, I've got a client that's really struggling with PPC. Can anybody help? I'll say hello. I've done a masterclass for them, so I'm like the PPC vet for the group, and people tag me. I've never met who just have watched the masterclass, but they tag me if there's a PPC question, and I'll come in and answer it. And then I've got been with that kind of working group for the last 2 years, and I've had about 22 grams worth of work just from the mums in marketing who are either working for brands themselves or who are marketing consultants. There's quite a lot of them are marketing generalists, and I'd recommend getting to know more marketing generalists, because they might have their 5 or 6 clients, and then they all might need content, or all might need PPC, or all might need conversion tracking or anything. So it's, once you're in with someone, you're in with all of their clients, essentially. And like I said, a lot of my colleagues who have gone from senior manager to head with me have since left the agencies and started their own thing. So I'm helping them with their clients as well. So it's mostly been network, mostly word of mouth. But since I've changed my niche a couple of months ago, tried to do more LinkedIn posts about like local marketing and more tailored to like the challenges that my niche will be facing. But I'm mostly on LinkedIn for a jolly. I don't necessarily go on for new business purposes, but so far this my bio is quite optimized actually. So if anyone searches for like LinkedIn specialist or Google Ads specialist, I recommend updating your bio because a lot of people message me on LinkedIn to ask if I've got capacity. So yeah, LinkedIn, network, and networking are the main three really.
Brilliant. So it's quite organic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because I love marketing, I love new business. Like I've always been part of my role, but because I'm busy because I've got retained clients, I haven't got any space. So the bit of the job that I really enjoy, I love like the fact finding, like the initial chat to clients. What's your challenges? How can we help? It's that sort of bit. So I guess an agency model should really suit me because I should have loads of people in the back doing the work. But because I like doing the work as well, it's just a challenge, and it's not like you have like you talk to like graphic designers, for example, they have a project and then it's done. Again, content, you do the project and it's done. You have to find new clients after that. Whereas with PPC, once you win a client, they're with you for months or years, and that's great because it's retained, consistent, reliable income. But it also means that I don't get as much new business excitement, chance to market myself because you just end up letting people down.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Nick, go for it.
I had a little nosy around your website, Hannah, and it looks really cool. And you seem to do both B2C and B2B type of work and clients across those two sectors. What's the sort of the major difference between those two particular audiences? Because there's a couple of people on this course doing services. So it's a little bit different approach for PPC than it would be for products or those sort of sales. So which is the sort of the big differences between the two? Which ones do you prefer? And just been interesting to get your opinion on sort of lead generation of people targeting folk directly through LinkedIn through the messages. Because I know quite a few companies and an old agency of mine used to do that as well, and always found it quite intrusive. And whether it's actually effective or makes you feel negative about a company that's targeting directly through your DMs on LinkedIn. Sorry, many questions. Apologies.
That's fine. We'll unpack the first answer. So with the B2B and B2C, the main difference will be the formats and then the conversions. So with e-commerce, I like the fact it's black and white. When someone clicks on an ad and they buy a product, that's it. The sale has happened. Happy days. You know completely the return on investment that click has produced. Shopping ads are great, as I've mentioned before. It kind of works organically and relies on the product titles, the descriptions, your shopping feed, kind of the color, the size, the gender, the pattern, like all of the little kind of attributes that sit in the back end of the website. All of those make a massive difference in where Google kind of ranks you in the shopping ad positions. So one of the services that I offer that not everyone does is shopping feed management. So we can take your feed and optimize it. For example, if we know that a keyword converts, we can then take that keyword and make sure it's in your title and your description. So next time someone searches for it, Google thinks your landing page is completely optimized for it, and you've got a higher chance of appearing in kind of shopping ad positions. That's essentially how it works. That's like the biggest crossover between PPC and organic. But when you look at like merchandising, content prioritization, it's not very often that the products themselves get the individual attention. Usually it's like your categories, your subcategory pages, facet nav pages that would get attention. So it does really, really make a massive difference to have your product pages optimized. That's the biggest kind of benefit of econ. Often when margins are really thin, you could have like stock issues, supplier issues, every product's got a different margin, like market variables, seasonality. There's so many other external factors that can affect whether your product does well or not. So even though it's easier to measure, there's more factors at play. Whereas if there's like a SaaS business or a service business, you're selling time usually or software. So there's no stock issues, there's no feed issues. It's a lot simpler in that way because you can kind of just bid on search campaigns to drive traffic for the relevant service or software, or whatever it is. The biggest challenge that I have with the B2B clients is the leads are often very few and far between, but they're very high average order values or high contract values. So what I'm trying to say to my service business is let's have PPC as like the lead generator, the quote generator, and then you've got your sales team who pick up the leads and then have that internal conversion rate, and then obviously we can sell to them, and it's often quite a long consideration phase. If it's software for a multi-million-dollar business, you're not going to click once and then buy it there and then. It's a long customer journey, and I think that's the biggest challenge that Google face and all advertisers face, is being able to attribute that back to PPC. But Google Ads does integrate with HubSpot, with Salesforce, with Klaviyo, MailChimp, like Campaign Monitor. There's loads of other kind of tools from other marketing sources that Google Ads can integrate with. And I think what I'd recommend for any B2B businesses is try and use PPC to kind of generate your quotes, generate leads, but don't necessarily expect it to be like, I'm going to click once and then I'm going to fill in a contact form, because with it being such a considered purchase, such an expensive purchase, such a risky purchase potentially for a business, it's very, very unlikely that one landing page is going to do the job of convincing you that this piece of software is the be all and end all for your business. So I think Google has its place. I think most of our B2B clients do run Google to capture the demand that's already there, but they also run LinkedIn to kind of for prospecting, because Google's display and demand gen YouTube formats are a bit crap. It's more consumer. They're very set up for consumer, but they're not very set up for business targeting. So with LinkedIn, we can target by business size, job title, company name, company industry. So like the targeting is fine. Ad format wise, yes, you've got the in-mails that you mentioned there, and then there's the kind of in-feed ads or carousels or videos. Personally, it depends on. I've had more success with in-mails for events. So you open the in-mail and it'll say you're invited to our exclusive event just for job title in industry. Here's a link to sign up. And the cost per lead, cost per sign up has been a lot cheaper for in-mails than it has done for in-feed ads. So the cost per open for in-mails is about 10-15p. So LinkedIn gets a really bad rep for being really expensive, and it can be, because if you're trying to target like MDs and CEOs and all decision makers, that's when your cost per click is going to be like 10, 20, 30p for one click to your website, which is extortion. But if you use it in mails, I actually prefer them because it's cheaper. Yes, you're only paying for someone to open that email essentially instead of going to your website, but you're still getting their eyes to skim read it. And it's really good for micro conversions, so like downloads, webinar signups, as opposed to buy now, big contact form conversions. It's like it's better for the softer interaction, again, getting leads through the door as opposed to a purchase. But LinkedIn has its place. I say the prospecting is way better. So if you've got a brand new product to market, and you know absolutely which industry and absolutely which job title it's suitable for, then having a little in-mail to them is a pretty good shout, to be honest. People write War and Peace. They opened them before when it's just like this long, and it's asking if you wanted to do like a degree in America, and like, oh, you're giving us a bad name, like you're just giving us advertisers this all tarnished with this brush that it's but it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be that bad.
Thank you very much.
Lovely. Joe, did you have your hand up then, or have we answered your question? Oh, she's gone. She disappeared. Thank you for answering those questions, Hannah. I think I've got a question actually. I'd like to know what have been your main struggles, I guess, from an agency point of view, particularly, like what real struggles did you find when you were working in agencies in a PPC role?
I think the size of clients that we worked with, the majority of them might have had like an MD or the owner, but they didn't necessarily have a marketing person in the job seat. So when we were doing reports to them or trying to explain that we wanted to do new testing, or this has worked well and this hasn't, it was really about education. So at agencies where we worked, you were client facing as well as doing the account management. And I know not every agency is set up like that, but actually having to be client facing was a lot better, just to help me grow up and prepare for the real world, because there's loads of agencies out there that hire 10 a penny juniors to do the PPC management. They have 20 accounts to look after, and then there's like a client services manager in the middle that does all the client facing stuff. And it's kind of Chinese whispers. If a client asks for something, it takes a week, and it's all a bit like slow and a bit gate kept, which I know they're trying to protect the juniors, but when you've got 20, 25 clients to work on, you're doing the bare minimum for everyone. You're not doing your best work. You're not thinking proactively. But then it's chicken and egg, isn't it? No one's going to have, especially in agencies when it's, we're trying to make money. It's no one's going to give the people working on the account loads more hours as to do loads of fact finding. So I think that was probably one of the challenges, trying to balance the management with the client management I face as opposed to other agencies. But it helps, as I say, it helps you grow up, because if you do something wrong, or you set the budget too high, or conversion tracking's broken, you didn't fix it, or you didn't catch it in time, you have to see that client, and you have to see that you've let them down, and it makes you feel so much more accountable than if you were just hidden behind the scenes. And when I'm looking at my clients, it's not just about how the account is performing, like, are we making them money? Is it profitable? I also look at the relationship, because that's so, so important. And I think people say, oh, I just need to be good at SEO or good at PPC or good at whatever, but it's quite rare to find someone who's like shit hot on data, also a really nice person. I found quite a lot of the data techie people can be very like anal, very good at their jobs, but the softer skills are not always as prevalent. So even if your performance isn't great, always worth checking in, doing the niceties, the soft skills, doing the value add piece, because if things do go Pete Tong, and sometimes it's without your control, out the client's control. You can't affect the conversion, the landing pages and everything. So there's so many other market factors that might hamper you in your job. So it's not all on you. But yeah, being able to have that relationship and have that rapport will keep it going, and say, I'll try new things, and then when it does, and then finally it does work, it's like your relationships that's like smooth that over. And I feel like it's really hard to like teach soft skills, like how do you be personable, how do you be a listener, how do you be commercial when you've got no experience of asking the right questions. So it is just a case of getting in there. And I think agency work was great because it exposed me to clients of all shapes and sizes and industries, websites with all kinds of tricking issues and niceties. And you get to know what good looks like a lot quicker than if you are in-house doing PPC, I think, because you kind of get trapped in your own little bubble. And you're not sometimes as aware of industry updates and new changes. So would definitely recommend agency. It's like, you know, you'll lose 3 years of your life and you'll come out looking 30 years older, but it is a really great experience, and I cannot recommend it enough. It is good just to kind of put your teeth in the industry in an agency.
Thank you for that. Michael, did you have your hand up then, or have we answered your question?
Always on mute.
Sorry,
There he is.
not used to it. Hannah's pretty much answered it. It was just more sort of, we're all obviously sort of at the beginning, well, not all, but most of us are at sort of the beginning of the journey. And lots of people will probably start thinking, do I go for an agency? Do I start off doing my own thing? Do I just gain experience by playing around with it and trying to build up some clients by sort of offering my services, not necessarily free of charge, but at a discounted rate to sort of get that sort of portfolio up and running? What, obviously your experience was from agency into your own business. Do you feel that that really is the strongest way whereby you're going to get the best all-round knowledge?
I think so. Like, I know people who've gone freelance and made a great success of themselves just having 2 or 3 years agency experience, because you are in there, you're on the front line, you're doing all the working on like all the different clients, you're kind of having to manage your own time, deal with the client comms, and because you're learning with people around you, because you'll probably have, if you're going in as like an exec or a manager, you'll have a senior and a head, you'll learn from them, but also learn from other services. So because my background was a digital agency, like I know far more about conversion tracking because of the devs, and being able to scoot over to them and ask them questions. And I know so much more about how SEO and PPC can be integrated and how you can use Google Search Console data for PPC gain than if I didn't have an SEO agency, an SEO team next to me. So it really is about owning PPC and like owning your craft, but also having an awareness of the other channels. Like, I don't know if you've heard the phrase like T-shaped marketer, where you've got like your specialism is PPC, like you own that. Then you've got a wider knowledge of how like you might use affiliates and PPC together, or how like you know, content, how you can repurpose your YouTube content for PPC. You know, it's that sort of bit across the top. So yeah, I'd recommend agencies first, and you also get it's most of them are like Premier partners and Google partners, and you get invited to Google to like see all the latest updates and stuff. So it's useful having access to all the new stuff and the systems and reporting processes and stuff ready for when you set up yourself. You're kind of ready to go by yourself essentially. And then it's obviously the networking as well. So the more people that you meet in the agency, they can like refer you in. So the agencies that I used to work at, the client came into them, but it was too small for the agencies to take on. They would refer it to me because I only have my converted garage to upkeep. I don't have all the overheads that a big agency does. So I would kind of send them a bottle of wine as a thanks, and they would refer all the kind of smaller clients to me. So if they're doing my new business for me, also helpful.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Hi, Joe.
Yeah, I've got a question. I'm not sure if it's been answered already because I had to step out for a little bit, but do you, as a freelancer, Hannah, do you subscribe to any of the marketing tools, SEMrush, Ahrefs, and the like, and any of them that are worth subscribing to or paying the subscription for?
To be honest, I only use SpyFu. My SEO friends all use Ahrefs and SEMrush and all of them, but because Google, unfortunately, the money-making machine that it is, wants to help me do my job, the majority of tools that I use are free, because if I can do my job, I can get Google more money. So tools like Keyword Planner, Reach Planner, Performance Planner are all free, as long as you've got a Google account. Oh, just to come back to Michael's question about something I forgot to mention on kind of starting up and where to find your first clients, and even if you have a low experience, what I'd really recommend is charities. So charities can apply for a scheme called Google Ad Grants. Just Google it. They can get up to $10,000 per month for free from Google for ad spend. So the clients, the charities will need to apply, and they then get a token that goes on the website to kind of say, yes, I'm a registered charity, but they basically need to send their certificate. And then once Google say, yeah, fine, you can only launch search campaigns. Unfortunately, it's not for shopping or for display demand gen and YouTube, but because it's low risk, because the client isn't paying that money, and any traffic they can get to their charity and raise awareness of the services that they provide, the support that they might provide, is a bonus. It's like a sandbox account. It's low risk. You can't break it. Well, you might be able to, but there's no like consequence. You're not bankrupting anybody, and it means you can play about with the different kind of ad extensions and keywords and how to set up conversion tracking. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend reaching out to charities if you're looking to kind of start your PPC journey, and then they'll obviously pay you very little if at all, but it's experience for you. They'll give you a good referral, expand, like, share you with their network. So it's a good place to start, and everybody wins, really. So yeah, that's the one. So it's $10,000. So yeah, $7K a month. And if you do conversion tracking and you've got like X number of conversions, I've got what it is now, you can show that you're doing optimizing the account properly, then they give you some more. I think it goes up to like $20,000 or something. But yeah, it's part of their like CSR program. So yeah, definitely reach out to your local charities for that.
Ooh, I didn't know about that. That's really interesting.
Sorry, Joe, I feel like I hijacked your question.
Sorry, you did mention about the free app that you use, apart from Keyword Planner.
Yeah, just SpyFu. It's a way to it's supposed to show you how much your competitors are spending on ads every month and how many keywords they're bidding on. It's not that accurate. It's the best there is, but it's not 100% accurate. It only looks at search as well. It doesn't tell you how much they're bidding on shopping or how much they're spending on shopping.
How do you spell that?
SPYFU.
Right, FU. Ah, right, okay. SpyFu. Thank you.
Dorota, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, because I understand that through working, you're getting a lot of extra experience all the time and you're gaining new insights and new knowledge like constantly. But could you maybe recommend some learning resources, like online learning resources, to get into if you want to like dig deeper into the topic of the PPC? Any blogs, any podcasts, anything like that? Thank you.
Yeah, so there's if you're like just starting out, there's Google Garage, the Google Bootcamp. They're free content and video resources. If you just want to kind of learn the 101 basics, and then you can do your Google Ad exams for like search, mobile, shopping, display, like anything, they've got one as well, and CRO, UX. So if you wanted to kind of do the reading and get the qualifications, then it's something to put on your profile to say you've got those qualifications. LinkedIn do have similar, but there's no formal accreditation. Like there's no, like LinkedIn ad qualified or something. There's nothing like that. Whereas with Facebook, have Facebook Blueprint. Their screening and their, certification process is a lot stricter. Also, my friend last did it. Like they record you, make sure you're not going on different tabs to like cheat and stuff. Basically, they like properly watch you for the hour. It's a screen recording. Whereas with Google, it's a little bit more lax. But it's a good way to kind of just get yourself credited. YouTube is always great. I listen to Optimizer podcast. So there's a guy called Frederick Valleys. He's ex-Google and set up his own agency called Optimizer. He's been around since the dawn of Google, basically. So he has paid search podcast. There's also PPC. Is it PPC Hero? So PPC Hero is a conference that is in San Diego and London. It was obviously not come back since COVID, but it's just been resurrected by the people who do Brighton SEO. So there's a San Diego one in November. I'm hoping there'll be a PPC Hero London back in 2025. It's like 2 days of absolute gold. It's great. There's also another resource by two Dutch guys called PPC Mastery. That's more for people who might have a few years experience already. They have a weekly newsletter, which is great. It comes out on a Friday. And they have a podcast, and they have a kind of PPC community. So they have like a Discord group. So like Slack, instant messaging and like sharing jobs and sharing events and latest updates and client struggles and stuff. So that's a really good community. And they've got specific courses. So you can pay like a one-off fee, and they have like loads of resources for conversion tracking, and then loads of it's like hot off the press stuff from them, because they're all kind of freelancers or seniors at various agencies. So like if there's anything that's new to market, they're great. Adrian Decker, I think it's me. Let me try and spell it. Something like that. Again, there's like a really massive PPC community from the Netherlands, by the way. Like everyone's from the Netherlands. If I wasn't here, I'd be there. And he does if you see something new in the interface, because Google don't always tell you when something new is coming. If you see something new, you kind of submit it to him. And he's like, oh, I've seen this before, whatever. So he's like the hub of new stuff. So anytime something is launched in the interface, he gets a weekly newsletter out about it. This might be coming soon. Usually it's in America first, but then it comes to us. But if there's any accounts that are eligible, then he hears about it first. So I definitely recommend following him. And yeah, just people on LinkedIn, to be honest. So I'm a bit more of a lurker than I am a poster. But yeah, once you start liking or following a few of these PPC gurus, mostly from the Netherlands, then there'll be more people recommended for you like that. So yeah, mix of places really.
Thank you.
I got stuff. Let me see if I can just jump on LinkedIn and find you the people.
I'm really glad that you've mentioned LinkedIn there, because we'll be covering that next week during Careers Week. So, and the importance of it. So I'm really glad that you've dropped that in there. Convenient time.
Yeah, it's great. Love a bit of LinkedIn. In fact, I don't bother with my own Instagram or Facebook or anything for the business, because it's like, who would want to see a graph? Who would want to see some numbers? It's not very creative often. It's just some other creative that the designer's given to me and then I've put on there. So it's not very visual. Bless it.
It's where we met as well, isn't it? I think we
yeah
at the via LinkedIn. It's super, very, very useful.
I'll try and find some more people. I'll pop there. There he is. Adrian, I spelt it wrong.
Oh, thanks, Hannah. I do appreciate this.
That's all right. But yeah, feel free to ask another question while I'm stalking some people.
Question actually. So when you made that transition from being in an agency to having children to then setting up your own business, what would you say what's been the highlight of your career since being a freelancer? Like what's been some real positive things that have come along the way, and what things are you really proud of?
Can I talk about the finance side, or is that not the done thing?
Yeah, whatever you want to share, you go for it.
So I work 3 days a week and I made 100 grand last year. and that's what I'm most proud of. You know, I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I'm doing what I do on very condensed hours, and there is no room for error, and I have to be very efficient, and I have to kind of remind myself that clients obviously pay for my experience and the value, not just my time, because it can be like a very mentally taxing, because obviously it's a very privileged position to be in, but it can be like, it can be mentally draining at times to be like, am I doing enough? Am I over servicing? Am I under servicing? You know, that sort of strain. But because I've built up the reputation in my network, and most of my clients have been with me for years, they usually start off on like a 500 quid a month retainer or something, and I'll say, oh, do you want to do some YouTube? And we'll do that, and I charge a bit more, or they'll expand to Microsoft and I'll do that and charge a bit more. Like, most people have grown with me. Like, no one starts off on like a 3k a month retainer. Do you know what I mean? And obviously there's the stress with like, mine goes into sale when you're on holiday and all of that. But it's, yeah, that's getting into like the rhythm of stuff and knowing when like report week's coming up, knowing that to manage my time, don't put too much stress on yourself, try and manage expectations, let clients know ahead of time. It's just kind of the resilience that you sort of build up over time. That's, yeah, I'm most proud of, I guess, because I know that if half my clients left tomorrow, hopefully it wouldn't take me too long to fill them back up, fill the space back up again, I guess. And just, yeah, try not to take on too much, because my son starts nursery full time in September, and I don't want to do 5 days of work, because I'll just feel over. I'm trying not to do that, because I'm like, you've worked hard, reward yourself with a rest, or like work with more charities, or like do like the fluffier, nicer things, but just try not to take on too much, because if I break, my kids and the family structure falls down, the clients are not getting serviced. And then business insurance, get business insurance, because if I do get sick, then I've obviously got insurance. But yeah, just knowing that it's on you, it's all on you. It's the good and the bad of being a freelancer is that it sits with you. It's great because everyone says you can plan your own time, plan your own week, but there's obviously client pressures, like you need to be there for clients. It's just a fact of life, but they're really nice people, so it's good. Oh, target number of clients. So because I like bill myself with like an ideal hourly rate, and I'll say if a client comes on, they need X, Y, and Z, and they've got ridiculous targets, so they need everything, then I'll allocate myself more time. So it is more about how much time I think the client needs, as opposed to an ideal number. You speak to some freelancers and they like to have like 20 clients, 20 little ones, because there's usually less reporting, less calls, like it's lower maintenance. It's the little guys that appreciate what you do, but generally leave you alone. Then you speak to some people and say, no, I want to work on 5 clients only, because yes, you can manage 5 people better than you can 20. Also, if one of them leaves, it's a bigger portion of your income. So for me, I like to have a mix. I've got, some clients that pay me a couple of £100 a month, and some of them pay me a couple of thousand. I like the variety, because then you're not kind of spreading yourself too thin and at risk if you take on too few clients. As I say, you're at risk of them being a higher portion of your income if one of them leaves, versus like every of the 20 asking a question all at once, and you're like, so yeah, fine balance. So
fantastic. I think everyone's reaction to what you were most proud of then was the same. We all just went, wow.
by the way, it's all a ruse. It's a work-life blend, or a work-life sort of, it's fluid. There's no scale that is the absolute perfection tipping point, because there's always something, isn't there?
Yeah, but that's the reality of it, I think there's such a like hustle culture, like you've got to graft, you've got to put all this effort in, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, then actually it's not going to work doing all that if that's all you're doing. You need to have that time to just decompress and have other things going on in life. So definitely, working hard, but then also taking the time for yourself. And absolutely, I think that is right. Will, you've got your hand up. I think we've got time for one more question, then we'll probably have to leave it there.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to kind of add to that and kind of ask about the hustle culture. Is that kind of a prevalent thing in like agencies and in-house, like, or is that generally, is it maybe like a pushback perhaps? Because I know I keep hearing certain companies are doing like 4-day weeks and stuff. And yeah, I'm just curious about hustle culture in the marketing world, really. Yeah.
Agencies get a bad rep that it is all hustle culture, and it's not all like Mad Men, like no one's going drinking at lunchtime and all that. But it's so dependent on which agency you work at, because the agencies I've worked at, it's been quite nice. They respected people's time. There was always an 80% buffer. So like 8% of the time was allocated to clients, 20% was allocated to like learning and new business and stuff. So there was always at least protecting your time. My manager would tell me off if I sent an email after 6 o'clock. So it does depend, because some of them, sometimes friends would get an email from a manager at 8 o'clock at night expecting a response by 9, and like that's not great because you can't ever switch off. But it's not like it's location specific or size of agency specific, because you might work at a startup, but it is very like we're all scrapping, we're all in this together, everyone's wearing a million hats because it's small. Or you might work at a big agency and everyone's scrapping over the clients because they want to do the best, and there's only one promotion spot and there's 10 of you going for it, so you have to like put the extra hours in. So there's no like secret sauce to the right agency size, or as I say, location, because I'm in Newcastle and there's good and bad, as there would be in like London, where there's a lot more agencies. So yeah, I think as long as you set your stall out from the start, as I say, if you're working freelance, just put your hours in your email, so at least the clients know, or in your contract, on email is preferred, because my clients WhatsApp me and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? That's my private phone. But because I've forgotten to set the stall out, they've just kind of scope crept into my life, and I'm like, no, get back on email. We don't need you here.
I remember having a call once when I worked in recruitment, and I used my personal phone once, and this person rang me at 8 o'clock on a Sunday evening. I thought, no, that's the first and the last time that's ever happening. No thanks.
I just entered your brain. What you need is, how on Google you can schedule send. Love a bit of schedule send. So even if I'm working on evening, which is my choice, try not to do it, but if it is my choice, then I can schedule send it for the next day, so it looks like I've just replied at 9:30 the next morning. Like, why can't you do that on WhatsApp? That would be great. But also stay out of my emails.
Yeah.
Clients that have Slack as well. It would be great for internally, and then they expect you to be like on Slack as on everything.
Yeah.
You're paying for instant messenger. No, you don't need that.
I don't like it when you can see someone, like when people can see that you're active now on LinkedIn or active now on
Yeah,
Slack.
you just want to like hide to that person, don't you?
Oh, lovely. Well, we'll have to finish it there, Hannah, but thank you so much for joining us. That was really, really interesting. I thought we've all learned a lot there. There's some really great questions from you guys as well, so thank you for being so interactive. But I hope you've enjoyed that, everyone, including you, Hannah. But yeah, thank you very
Thanks for having me.
What's the plan now, Joe? Do you want us to jump off and are you carrying on, or are you having a break?
Yeah, let's break for about 15 minutes perhaps. Shall we go back here at 3:20, if that's okay with everybody? Yeah, but thanks Hannah as well, and thanks Joe for organizing this. Really appreciate it.
That's all right. Well, before it goes in the comments, I have just put my my LinkedIn slug. If anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, as I say, I'm lurking about, so I am there if anybody wants to have a little catch up or ask any more questions or anything else. But I am in the comments.
Oh, thanks, Hannah. Yeah, we'll share. I think I already have, but I'll share again your LinkedIn and your website so people can go and take a look and connect. Thank you.
Cool, no worries. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Joe. Right, so for my group and Rachel's group, we're going to stay in this Zoom session. And then for Nair's group, you're going to be Andy. You're going to be using a different Zoom link. I think Andy is here as well. Let's have a quick break for now. And then when you get back to from your break, you're going to see your Zoom link for Nair's group for this afternoon session. Is that okay? Cool. Thanks, guys.